Hi, I'm Wiltsy from Team Xanadu. I'm a Dynamo main. I just want to make a quick little video talking about Dynamo as a main weapon and why I think it's worth playing competitively. So let's get into it. First of all, what does Dynamo do? It's a roller, so it can do flicks and one-shot people potentially. It has the longest range of all the rollers, though as a trade-off it has a slower wind-up time. Short range has about the range of something like a splatter shot or an end zap, maybe a little bit longer. Whereas the longer range is closer to Splatter Shot Pro. Or H3D, or just weapons that range. But of course the slow speed does make it very prone to things like bombs, missiles, pretty much anything. Once you swing, you've committed to that. So you have to be pretty careful about every swing you make to make sure that the other team just doesn't throw a bomb at you while you're swinging or get the jump on you while swinging and not pay attention. Things like that. Which makes you have to be a little bit smart about commitments, which is actually... it can be considered a downside, but I think that kind of smart playstyle is part of what makes me enjoy the weapon so much. It does feel like every single swing you make matters. Now what else the weapon does, besides just kill things in one shot, is chip damage, because the further you are away, the less damage it does. Of course, here that's not gonna kill. Here it does. You back up farther, it just kind of chip damages when it hits. Of course, that's a really helpful thing to do when helping out teammates in fights, or if they're just not in a position to actually confront you. You can kind of just chip away at health from a safe distance away. And the main difference between the chip damage for them is that the thunder flick is much more wider. So if you just kind of... let me go over here. If you're shooting over a wall and don't know where they are, you can just kind of swing a bunch. Might not get a kill, but you'll be able to hit a bunch of chip damage on people very easily. Or if there's just enemies grouped up that your teammates are fighting, things like that. Whereas vertical flick has much more range. The max range is about here, I think. The minimum damage, which is actually about the range of a Hydra. That's not something to ignore. It can do chip damage from a very long way away, which kind of does the same thing as Splasher does. That's very helpful for your team when they're taking a fight. And then another thing worth noting is the paint. Might not seem all that important, but how a weapon paints does make a big difference in competitive. And for me, there's two main types of painting. There's fast painting, which is kind of like something like a junior, where you just kind of spray and paint a specific area very quickly. And there's like what an Explosion or a Charger does, where you paint an area far away, a little bit slower, but it's safer. You can just kind of paint the area way over there without being contested. So it's quick painting and there's safe painting. And one thing Dynamo does really well is that it's actually pretty good at both. Things like Junior and Explosion do better at the individual ones, but Dynamo is pretty good at both. It can vertical flick to just quickly paint a specific area, or it can horizontal flick to paint far away really well. And why does that matter? Well, quick painting, especially in zones, in splat zones, is very easy. Just paint the zone quickly. Your swings will actually paint the zone on certain maps, completely your color. Or if you've gotten control of an area and just want to just quickly paint this area while you're pushing up, very easy to do that. So you have more turf to work with, and your team has more turf to work with. Whereas the safer painting, if you're over here, the other team is over there, and you can't really commit to them. You can kind of just paint from all the way over here to build up special. Maybe put paint on the zone to contest it without committing in. Or put paint in front of the Rainmaker carrier to keep them from moving. It can just be really helpful for when you're not in a position to actually commit in, to have that ability to safely paint. And normally you do have to choose one or the other. It's not common to have a weapon that does both well. That's definitely one of the biggest strengths of Dynamo. And of course, as a roller, it can roll people over, which isn't very important. The main reason you would probably do that is you go for a swing and you miss. You're close enough to just roll them over quickly, but you don't want to go for that. That's kind of just a last-ditch effort if something else fails, not something you actively go for. Or you can also just use a quickly paint area by you. Something that's pretty common for Dynamo players to do is just sort of do a donut. Gives you turf to work with, and it's just really nice to have. That is actually a pretty good use for the rolling, but for the most part you're going to be swinging. Now going into the different Dynamo variants, you have Gold, you have Kensa, and you have the Vanilla. Actually, let's start with the Kensa one. That's the Sprinkler and Booyah Bomb, which... Sprinkler, normally you just kind of throw it out, it paints, gets you special. But Dynamo in specific actually gets a lot of use out of it. So how slow it paints, you just kind of use it quickly paint an area. Well, that's a wall, a piece of the floor. When you're in a pinch, like you're in a fight, you have to get out, paint quickly, move. In that sense, Dynamo is probably the best weapon in the game to actually get use out of sprinklers. It's definitely one of the best. And the Booyah Bomb, you can also kind of use it in a tough spot where you're kind of surrounded by people, but you also have to be a little careful about that. You can use it as kind of a panic special to get out, but if there's too many people around, they're just going to shoot you down. But to an extent, it can be used to get out of tough situations, or you can use it to just kind of throw away over there if there's a charger that you can't fight normally. Get them out of their position to get you just able to move. Since if you swing and there's a charger there, they're just gonna shoot you, especially at a higher level. So because of how the kit works here, I definitely would consider Kensa to be the most independent. You'll be playing on your own, I would definitely recommend this one, because it just has a lot of tools to get itself to stay alive and deal with the weaknesses of the weapon. Meanwhile, Gold is... I would consider Kensa and Gold to be equally good, but Gold is more team-oriented. It's not as independent. It has a bomb, Splat Bomb. That's pretty much always a good thing to have on a weapon. Gives you something to throw when you can't commit in, to just pressure people, push people away. You can use it to throw at a fight your teammates are doing without committing to that fight, things like that. It is just a ton of uses having Splat Bomb. And then of course it has Ink Armor, which is... Dynamo itself does get use out of Ink Armor. That helps it get in close to actually do one-shots without dying. But the main reason you want armor is for your team, not for yourself. But this kit is very nice, this is why I usually play with my team. But it's a bit more built around working with the team rather than making up for the weaknesses of the weapon. So that's why I would normally play Kensa and solo and Gold with my team. Now, Vanilla is kind of its own thing. I'd consider this the most team-oriented. It does have ink mines, which they're fine, but you're not going to get very much use of it as an individual. It mostly just helps your team if you put them in places where opponents will be going often, or if you're playing splat zones and put them on the zone to make it hard for the other team to cap zone. And then it has Stingray, which, if you're good at Stingray, is very good at getting kills and assists from the other side of the map. But again, it's not something the main weapon really gets anything out of. It's a team-oriented thing. If you're good at Ray, this is definitely a variant to consider. But it's definitely the hardest to use because Stingray's kind of a special you need to work on to be able to play it well. And for me personally, I only play this on certain Splat Zones maps. I don't like Ray on Tower Control or Clan Blitz. And Rainmaker, I don't like the main weapon of Dynamo. So I don't play Dynamo on Rainmaker, it's just too slow and too easy to get taken out by the Rainmaker itself. And it's a bit slow to really do stuff in that mode since Rainmaker is a really fast moving mode. But for Splat Zones, it paints really well. Put down ink mines on the zone. And you can use just a ton of Stingrays to pressure snipers that you might have an issue with otherwise. Or to just get a bunch of chip damage on people your teammates are fighting. Yeah, generally I play gold though. Almost all the time I play gold. My team benefits from the armor, the extra bomb, all that stuff. Now, I already touched on this a little bit, but the kind of situations you wouldn't want a Dynamo. I already said Rainmaker, I don't really like the mode for Dynamo. You swing, it's really easy to get taken out by the Rainmaker itself if they shoot you. Because you don't have a fast painting option to get out of the way, you don't really have a good way of contesting the Rainmaker without committing, unless you're playing gold and have a bomb. Vanilla has Ray, but it doesn't really do much when it doesn't have a Stingray, if that makes sense. So in general, I just don't play Dynamo on Rainmaker. Outside of that, it's mainly just the especially open maps, you know, New Albacore Hotel, Skipper Pavilion on certain modes. The modes where I'm not going to be able to get close to people as easily, not going to be able to get people obstacles as much. Things like that. And I'll probably go into alternates I use in different videos, just going over each individual weapon I use in my pool. This is the first one since it's my main. So that's the main idea of Dynamo. I'll probably go into the builds in the next part of the video, so see you there. So this is my Sendo.ink page. This is all my weapon builds for every weapon. So my main build for Dynamo has comeback. On every build I have 2 subs of swim speed because it's heavyweight, and that helps with just mobility. It's very hard to use the weapon without any swim speed in my opinion. Because it's a heavyweight, and heavyweight just naturally has a really slow swim speed. Also, a main and 1 sub of Main Saver will get you 7 swings, whereas by default you only have 5. I think that makes a huge difference. That main power, that just increases damage a bit, makes it a little bit more consistent, and slightly increases the one-shot range. Kinda just nice to have. Bomb defense because it's immobile, and that just helps with dealing with mostly tenta missiles and inkjets. Because it will increase the number of indirect shots needed to kill you from tenta missiles and inkjets from 2 to 3, I think. Or at least the closest shots. Since they do less damage the further they are. And then my main build has comeback, since comeback's just a really nice ability. Pretty much, I mean, if you look it up, there's a bunch of different effects it gives out of respawn, but Dynamo benefits from pretty much all of them. And then special save is just nice to have on everything. Super jump's nice to have on everything. Ink res is nice to have, but it's not really that important, so it's only on this build, I think. Yeah. Yeah, the ink res is kind of just, I share this hat with other builds, so it's there, but it's nice to have, so I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to add any other builds. It's just nice to have it's there. Don't really care if it's not. I have Haunt. Haunt is nice on maps like Blackbelly, where it's a little bit hard to keep track of people. There's a lot of verticality, so just having the haunt ability of effect, you can keep track of people easier. And you hit people on the other side of walls with Dynamo without having to have a line of sight as long as you have haunt on them. And also gives a respawn punisher effect if you kill somebody you've got haunt on. So the respawn will take longer. That's just nice to have. And it doesn't really take up too much, so I might as well run it on maps where it's good. And stealth jump, I mostly run when I play this weapon on tower control. On like mid-sized maps and up. The larger maps on other modes, I also run stealth jump to just get in quicker and safer. The especially small maps on tower control, I don't think it's too important, so I'll just run comeback or haunt if it's a good map for that. And all three of these gold Dynamo builds I will also use on Kensa for just general builds. And outside of that, I have a special charge build I use on Vanilla and Kensa for Humpback Splat Zones, because Humpback Splat Zones just spamming Booyah Bombs is a legitimate strategy, and it's kind of dumb, but if it works, I'll do it. But for Ray, it'll actually get special in like 6 swings if you do it right, which is kind of crazy and also very dumb, but if it works, I'll do it. Yeah, that's Dynamo.